everyone. We are all welcome to today's episode of Health Chat with Nosby. Good evening, everyone. Please call your friends, call your sister, your neighbors, and tell them live session has begun. If you are here, make sure you are calling your sister. Don't come here alone. All right. Good evening from Nigeria, and welcome to Health Chat with Nosby. On today's episode of Health Chat with Nosby, we'll be delving into a very important topic, which is diabetes. Research has it that over millions of women, children, and men are suffering from diabetes every year, and a lot of people are dying from it. And we realize that there is a little gap in communication, in health education. A lot of people don't know what diabetes is, its risk factors, and how anyone can even acquire diabetes. That's why Health Chat with Nosby is here to bring us everything we need to know about diabetes. But before we start, I would love to appreciate our global partners, everyone who is putting in an effort in cash through their efforts to make sure that Health Chat with Nosby is going public. We want to say a very big thank you to you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Veronica Nokore, and I am the founder and convener of Health Chat with Nosby. And I know a lot of people will be asking who or what Health Chat with Nosby actually represents. Health Chat with Nosby is a platform that I created to bridge the gap in health education, especially for women. We are here to make sure that women everywhere across the globe, no matter their background, no matter their races, color, and even the vulnerable ones among us, have access to at least a good health education. And that's why today we are bringing you diabetes, what you need to know about diabetes. And with me to talk about diabetes is a very beautiful woman. She is a dynamic leader and healthcare professional with passion for both the public health and entrepreneurship. She is the CEO of Del Prince Fashion and Jasper Medicine. She seamlessly balances her roles in the healthcare industry and in the business world. She believes that businesses have a responsibility to give back to the community. That's why she founded her organization. She holds a Bachelor of Nursing Science degree from Mariam Abacha American University of Niger Republic, and she's a registered nurse from College of Nursing and Midwifery, Yola in Adamawa State. She also has a master's degree in public health, which is currently in review. Her name is Nurse Lura Akila. She is married to Mr. Daniel Akila, and she's blessed with 2 children. Everyone, friends, please welcome with me Nurse Lura Akila. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Nosby. It's an honor to be on the platform.
All right. So today we want to talk about health chat with Nosby on the topic diabetes. I want to start by asking you a few questions. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about diabetes that you feel we need to talk about?
Okay. Most times people think diabetes or it's a condition for old people or older people, and we fail to understand that though not so much, but there are children suffering from diabetes. I personally nursed a child that I think was 7 years.
Wow.
And I met him in the clinic, already a client in the clinic. I don't know how long he has been there, but he had diabetes at that age. I met people in their early 20s and so on. So a lot of people think diabetes is for older people, which is not. Some people also think that the causes of diabetes, maybe it's restricted to high sugar intake only.
Yeah.
But I feel it's not, because glucose does not only cause from sugar. A lot of things that we sugar is not the only cause of diabetes.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people, especially women, because our focus this evening is actually on women. A lot of people think that diabetes is only for older women, but there are a lot of younger people who are still suffering from diabetes. Like you said, I also nursed a guy, but he's actually a boy. He was 22 years at the time, and he had lived with diabetes for over 10 years. So some people who believe that diabetes is only for older people, I'm sorry, diabetes is not just for old people. Diabetes actually cuts across all generations. Okay. All right. What do you think are some of the predisposing factors for diabetes?
Okay, for predisposing factor, most times we cannot deny the fact that heredity plays its role because diabetes actually is a disorder.
Okay.
So if it is a disorder, then it can be inherited from parents. It is not a must, but there are tendencies. So it's a risk factor. If someone is having a lineage of people that are diabetic, not all the children, but some will keep that abnormality and tend to come up with diabetes. Another risk factor can be lack of eating or taking adequate diet. So let me put it this way. Sometimes people think that enjoyment is all about eating what you feel is nice in your mouth. So some people take a lot of processed food, and that itself is a risk factor for diabetes. And then sedentary lifestyle. Yeah, people think soft life is all about sitting down, lying down on the sofa, watching television, and checking your phone and all this. No, you have to balance your life. So sedentary lifestyle is one of the risk factors that also causes diabetes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We've heard that sedentary lifestyle, all our Gen Zs that are hoping and wishing to enjoy soft life. Please, soft life should actually have a balance. Actually have time that you go to the gym, exercise, move your body, and don't forget that stress is not exercise. Because I know that a lot of people also make the mistake of thinking that because they are working all day, that is part of exercise. No, exercise is different. Please do not stress yourself in the name of exercise. All right, ma. There's actually a controversy in town about diabetes being hereditary. Some people are agreeing to the fact that yes, diabetes is actually in the genes, but it is also not a death sentence, right? So people should actually learn to work on their lifestyle choices, and then work on also if you are already having a family history of diabetes, you know that you already are predisposed to having diabetes, right? So, but that is not a guarantee that you will have diabetes. So it is actually still in our choices, our lifestyle choices. Do you agree on that?
Yeah, I quite agree because I know a lot of families that have diabetes in their family, but they tend to work on themselves, and at the end of the day, they come out without diabetes. In fact, I know a lot of people that at some point it shows that they are almost their sugar level is almost getting to being diagnosed diabetic, but after working on it, after doing a lot of things, so actually it's a choice. So you can be coming from a family that has diabetes. It can actually be genetic, but it does not mean you must have it. There are ways in which you can prevent yourself from having it. Knowing it that you have it in your family is a good thing for you to work on it so that you will not be diagnosed as a diabetic.
Yes, thank you so much. So do you think that diabetes is just for family?
Not at all.
Is diabetes just for only obese people who are overweight, like on the high side? Do you think diabetes is just for healthy people?
No. Being overweight or obese is a predisposing factor, but that does not mean it's the only reason why people get diabetes. So diabetes is not only for overweight people. People can also be overweight, having
fact, I was working in the hospital one day and I met a patient, a very slender woman, and she had lived with diabetes for a very long time. I had to go and ask my mom. I was like, Ma, I thought they said diabetes is only for big people. What did this woman eat that she's diabetic? But diabetes, as we all have heard today, is not just for fat people. So finally, before we continue, do you think diabetes is communicable? I have heard quite a number of people say that their village people sent them diabetes, that it was sent from their village people. So is diabetes a communicable disease, and can it be sent from some people's village?
Yeah, this is one of the ways that people actually, if it runs in the family, that's the only way you can say, okay, you inherited it from the gene. But if not, it's not.
Okay? Is diabetes curable?
Oh, yeah. Diabetes is a disorder, so it can be reversed.
Okay.
Yes, it can be reversed, but it takes a lot of work. So, and that does not mean when it is reversed, you know, when talking about diabetes, it's always when the blood sugar level is high. So, reversing that is not a total cure. Because already someone has the disorder, that means even if it's reversed at that point, you need to be continually doing what you're doing so that you can maintain it. Yes. So if you reverse it and then go back to your older lifestyle and everything, it can come back. So we don't use the word cure, but we use reversed. Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for actually clearing our minds to actually have a little overview of what diabetes is. I will now allow you to please tell us what is diabetes, explain to us if there are types, what are the predisposing factors, and if at all there are management options. Yes, please.
All right. Actually, as I've mentioned earlier, diabetes is a metabolic disorder where the hormones that normally breaks down glucose in our body is called insulin, and it is produced by our pancreas. So when there is proper secretion of the hormone in our body, it breaks down the sugar or glucose that we take. So in a situation whereby the hormone does not secrete, the pancreas does not work properly to secrete that hormone. So it makes that when sugar or glucose comes into our stream or bloodstream or system, it does not metabolize. So it's there and it gathers and piles up in our body. That is one of the reasons why people have diabetes. Another one is that this hormone can be secreted, but the body does not make proper use of the hormone. That is one of the causes. So simply put, diabetes is a disorder whereby the disorder happens that they cannot produce insulin or they do not produce insulin. So that type of diabetes happens from childhood because immediately a child does not produce insulin, it means that blood sugar level goes high and is diabetic. In type 2 diabetes, they can actually grow because for the type 1, they can actually grow even with diabetes because they will be on artificial insulin. Yes. So for the type 2 diabetes, it is, I think 60% of type 2 diabetes is as a result of unhealthy eating and sedentary lifestyle. Yes. So just few of it that is caused by one factor or the other, but mostly is due to unhealthy lifestyle. So for the type 2 diabetes, it is at most times the body produces the insulin, but it does not use it adequately. Yes. So that is for the type 2 diabetes. We have gestational diabetes, whereby a woman's blood sugar level tends to be high when she's pregnant. Yeah, we see that in a lot of cases. That is why there is a strict for stress or glucose level when women come for antenatal. Yes. So a lot of those conditions happen, and some women can be lucky after they put to bed the diabetes goes, but some can still continue having diabetes even after they put to bed. So that one is gestational diabetes. And we have consistent sickness, or let me call it terminal illness. Sometimes it can have an autoimmune challenge. They can have an autoimmune challenge that will happen on their pancreas, or the beta cells does not produce insulin. So it can happen in young age, and it can happen in adults too. We have modified diabetes in young people. So that one is due to sedentary lifestyle as well. So we have a lot of them. But I think the major types of diabetes that people know is the type 1, type 2, and then the gestational. And for the gestational, most times is when you reach the pregnancy stage. That's when you now get to know that, yes. And for diabetes, I think their causes are just few. It can either be hereditary or out of unhealthy eating habits and sedentary lifestyle. It's few that is as a result of chronic sickness or chronic illness. Yeah. So I think that's for causes. So the symptoms of diabetes, I think, yeah, they are quite much. We have early symptoms and also the late symptoms. For the early symptoms, we see persistent test, because if sugar level is high, we blood tends to be concentrated. We call it more blood because it's highly concentrated, and then so it sucks up the water in the body. So most times the clients tend to be thirsty, and then another thing is that the body will want to get rid of the excess sugar, and then it also makes the patient go to urinate often. So there is frequent urination. There is blood vision also, because the person will not see well, you see blood, and there is also tingling sensations in the feet and the palms sometimes, and so these are some of the early signs of diabetes. For the late signs of diabetes, because diabetes, when it stays over long or overdue, it tends to affect almost all the organs in the body. Kidney can be affected, we have kidney damage, the eye can be damaged totally, and can go totally blind, and sometimes they can also have heart failure. Their pitch can be spread. So these are some of the signs, and most times when someone goes to the hospital and the blood level or sugar level is higher or above normal, it's also a sign. If the normal is, I think, 4 to 6 for adults, 4 to 6, that's fasting, no overflow from the sugar level. So I think basically the risk factors is age. Sometimes age, no, age is not, age is still related. Yeah. So, but I think there are some lifestyle you need to eat when you're aging. So continuously as you do that, it can be a predisposing factor. Obesity is one, and which can be as a result of sedentary lifestyle. Poor eating habits or unhealthy eating habits is also one. So these are some of the things that I think people should know about diabetes.
So now we talked a lot about lifestyle choices. So can you tell us what exactly can people do to reduce their risk of being affected by diabetes?
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things I normally advise people, young and old, is to observe the healthy plate habit. So the healthy plate habit is just a simple thing. You know, in the part of this world, we always eat rice and stew, and the rice is mostly the largest part. Then we eat yam and sauce, we eat bread and other things. So most times this carbohydrate is one of the major sources of glucose, and then it is the glucose that tends to produce or tends to lead to diabetes when not properly metabolized. So I always advise people to observe the healthy plate habit. It's just simple. 50% of your plate should be made up of green or leafy vegetables. Yes. Then the remaining 50 we share into 25. 25 is supposed to be for protein. And like the meat that people normally have that, you have to stop eating carbohydrates totally to pure. No. The 25% is for carbohydrates. So for the protein, I also advise that they eat mostly plant protein. Things like beans, things like soybeans, good source of plant protein. Even the animal protein are good, but please, if you are from the age of 30 upward, avoid red meat. So for the animal protein, I would suggest egg, chicken, fish. They are good source of animal protein. But things like red meat are being more then have a good sleeping pattern. Resting is very important as well. So take your time to rest. Take your time. You know, we say social media is one of the best things that happens to us in this generation.
Yeah.
But I bet you it's also one of the worst things, because you wake up and see that. Recently, I woke up to the room of my other woman, a lot of things. And so the woman I found out around 11:30. All of them were on their phone. And God knows how they used it.
Till when?
Yes. So I feel it does no harm. And they wake up and be feeling headache, feeling dizzy. Yeah, you think they are sick. But it's all as a result of lack of rest. So we advise that people should rest properly. And then, last but not least, always go for check.
Yeah.
This part of the world, we don't care about going for checkup, but it's important because some people don't tend to know they are diabetic. They keep on having symptoms, they keep on treating malaria and typhoid, they keep on treating a lot of things, not knowing that there is a particular thing happening in their system. So until they do that proper checkup, that's when they know that, okay, this is their situation.
Alright, thank you so much, ma. You actually made emphasis on this very important thing. I like the fact that you actually spoke on the fact that people think that because you are diabetic, you should not eat any other food. You should only be eating vegetables and other things, but not carbohydrates. The idea is to have a very balanced diet, like you said, the healthy plate habit. So you have 50% of vegetables, 25% of protein, and 25% of carbohydrate. Not that you completely leave carbohydrate out of your diet. And also the part of medical checkup. I see that a lot of people, especially when it comes to stroke and heart attack, it actually happens because people don't take out their time to actually go for checkup. So you just notice that because this thing has been building over time in their body, then all of a sudden the body can no longer handle it. It just collapses. With diabetes, you may not really notice that you have diabetes on time, except you go to the hospital. And some people might even not have the symptoms of diabetes before. So it is important that we actually take our time to visit the hospital, have regular checkups, and then we can also take lifestyle choices seriously. I am a big believer in prevention is better than cure. That's why we are taking out our time here to actually provide these health education so that people are not ignorant of the things that they ideally should do. Please, exercise is very important. Healthy eating habits is very important. It is not enjoyment that you keep eating carbohydrates every day or keep loading yourself with red meat. A lot of people think it is when we get to a particular age before we start observing, yes, we now start observing all these healthy habits. No, the best time to start is now. The best time to start is now. Now, Ma, you said that this also affects pregnant women and it's called gestational diabetes. I realized that with some women, the diabetes tends to go away after they've given birth. For some women, it doesn't. In fact, you actually now progress to becoming type 2 diabetes. What is the distinguishing factor there?
Yeah, because most times when women are diagnosed with gestational diabetes or anything disease that is attached to pregnancy, they think it will naturally go up immediately after delivery. So they don't tend to, after delivery, the body takes time to adjust itself and to heal. And then there's this sort of myth that you have to eat a lot of food. Eat for two. That's after giving birth. So I feel people just carelessly handle their life after delivery, and because already they are predisposed to the type 2 diabetes, the food they eat and a lot of things that happen around them. A woman that just put to bed will not do anything. She should just be sitting and people be serving her. So with time now, these diabetes tend to progress into type 2 diabetes because already the body is used to, it doesn't make use of insulin, and it continues like that. And even if it tends to use the insulin, it will find out that the insulin being produced is not in the right proportion with the food. and the lack of exercise and everything. So it piles up and becomes like food diabetes. And most times they don't have time again to reverse it.
Yeah, like we've heard, please, when you are pregnant, you don't eat for two. There is this myth in the hospital. When I was working in the antenatal clinic, you notice that antenatal clinic days are market days.
Yeah.
You see that a lot of women bring all of their stuff and commodities to sell. And you see pregnant woman, everything in that place she wants to eat it. And when she goes home, her mother-in-law is telling her that she must eat for two because she's pregnant. She has another person to feed, so she should be eating for two. No, with pregnancy, it is actually not so. There is a hormone that controls the passage of food from the mother to the fetus, and it's not even just the food that you are eating. All the nutrients the baby has comes from you, not just the food alone. So please, when you are pregnant, don't follow all these misconceptions that you have to eat for two. Are we saying don't eat well when you are pregnant? No. We are not saying don't eat well when you are pregnant. We are not. We are only saying that you shouldn't overburden yourself with more meals that you now take when you are pregnant, more than when you were not pregnant. That way you are overburdening your system. And sometimes they end up giving them to macrosomic babies. That's very large babies who are now also predisposed to diabetes. So that's actually not a good thing. You end up having the diabetes not just for yourself, but also passing it down to your baby. So please, let's correct that notion that because you are pregnant you have to eat for two, or because you are breastfeeding you have to eat for two. No, you are predisposing yourself to actually having diabetes. Alright now. Okay, somebody asked me, she said, I have kept all of these lifestyle experiences, all these lifestyle choices, right? And then yet, no, she was having, house was for hypertension, right? But she was asking the question in relation to diabetes. She said she had maintained all the lifestyle choices things we said everybody should do, and yet she had the diabetes. So what do you think that caused that?
Yeah. Okay. Was it during pregnancy or
Yes, during
normal?
pregnancy.
Okay. Yes. During pregnancy. You know, most times pregnant mothers tend to add weight. That's one. Another thing is that when a woman is pregnant, there are lots of hormonal changes in the body. So these hormones tend to be so much and overwhelm to the system, and the body may not pick the adequate hormone at a particular time to use. So sometimes you know that diabetes is not only when insulin is not supplied. It can be supplied, but then the body is not utilized. Yes. So in pregnant mothers, most times what normally happens is that the body at that point does not use the insulin provided. Yes, because of a lot of hormonal changes in the body. That is the case.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Alright, you know that our focus on health chat with Nozbi is actually on women. So now what is your advice to a younger woman listening to us? I'm deliberate about using a younger woman because I know with older people they will say because of age and because they are old. So now, younger women who are listening to us, what is your advice to them as regards diabetes?
Yeah. My advice to young women or young ladies out there is take care of yourself properly. Taking care of yourself does not mean only clothing and maybe taking care of yourself only physically. The food you eat, but what you eat. As you go out, what do you eat? What do you order for? Always substitute your drinks with natural food. Always substitute your drinks with natural drinks, your food with natural food. This overly processed food that we eat most times is, people think that's enjoyment, because I will go out now and then probably I'll order for salad, and then the younger person close to me will say pizza, shawarma, burger, so a lot of things, and those things will eventually pile up in our system. So it does not start, these people you see that are becoming old and sick does not start in one day. It started when they were young. In fact, I have a case now that because I do family nursing too, so I have a case in my family that had issue with her spinal cord. Now, because of the life she lived and the things she's been doing, so the vertebra tends to shift, and it started gradually. gradually from weightlifting and a lot of things that she was doing, and now it becomes a big issue, not only to the bones now. So you see, these things that we do now, thinking that is enjoyment, tend to have negative effects in our life, to our lives in the future. Another thing is that even if you are not diagnosed diabetic, always, yes, for your own good, practice the healthy life. And you know, one thing is that I noticed most people we find in the hospital, especially those diabetic cases that are old, we find it difficult to modify their diet. Yeah. I know someone that we are prescribing a diet for him, a non-starchy food, but he always tell his son that go and bring this. Open the flats that they keep that one, remove it and put the other. Yes, because it's not easy to modify diet at old age. So if you start now, the earlier the better. If you are used to vegetables, then it will not be a problem when you are old. Yes, or in the future. So another thing is also exercise. Do exercise, not overstrain yourself, as you said, and then don't stress yourself so much. And then practice exercise. No, exercise is regimented and with a purpose. What do you want to do? Is it a walk? What do you want to run? How many kilometers? How many meters? And the rest. So these are some of the things. And then one of the advice too, because alcohol is one of the causes of predisposing factors of diabetes, because it has a lot of processed sugar or glucose. So as a young person, I would advise that you reduce or even quit if you can. Yeah, smoking is also one of it, because this is a disorder, and gradually the organs in the body get tired of what you are doing, and they tend not to function well. So my advice to the young people is, those things you are seeing that we are telling the older ones not to do, you should also start it now, so that you will live healthy and those diseases will not catch up with you.
Yeah. I actually asked you this question because health and is actually being very passionate and very intentional about younger women. They're really not just being for themselves. The women are the ones who take care of the family. If you live a healthy lifestyle, definitely your husband is going to emulate that. Yes. You are now going to teach your children. So when addressing a woman is actually addressing the entire world, you get. So that's why we are really passionate and deliberate about women, right? So women should actually learn these things so that passing it down to the younger generation will be quite easier. Like you said, if you actually begin these things now, it will not be difficult for you when you are older. Imagine if you become used to eating vegetables, or you completely let go of sodas and snacks and all of these processed foods. When you are older, it won't even be a problem for you, because you already had these lifestyle choices from when you were younger. And exercise doesn't have to be a lot. It can just be that instead of driving your car, instead of entering tricycles all the time, you can just decide to take a walk, especially in the evening. It is relaxing. It's relaxing. Working out in the evening, the sun is down and everything, you're just working out, you have a lot of time to even think, right? And then if you work in an environment where there is a lifter and there is a staircase, you should rather pick to use the staircase and not the lifter, because that way you are helping your body, even though you might not be doing it up front that you are exercising, but little small choices like this will actually help you. All right, now we would love to take questions from our audience. If you have any questions as regarding diabetes, please do well to ask your questions while we continue this session. If you have a question, please use the question tab and ask your question. All right, ma'am, moving forward, why do you think diabetes affects, do you think diabetes affects more women than men, or do you think it is on a balance? Because I also want us to talk to our men out there so that they don't think we are talking to just women. I know that there are men in our audience and we would love to tell them too about diabetes. It's not a woman thing. So can we also help the men out there?
Yeah, diabetes, I think diabetes, probably type 1 and 2, is on a balance. But talking about diabetes on a general scale, because of gestational diabetes, it's only women. Yeah. So it tends to be like it's only for women. So it makes diabetes higher on the female side when it comes to gestational diabetes. But for type 1 and type 2, it affects both sides, for the men and for the women. So please, the men out there to also watch out, also take care of themselves. And
please, if your wife, your sister, your mother is telling you to please watch your diet or watch out for your lifestyle choices because of diabetes, don't say that they should stop disturbing you with human talk. Diabetes affects everybody. And one of the major things I don't like with diabetes is working in the surgical world. You notice that people with diabetes just have a little cut and then they won't just progress. And you just see somebody that just had a cut here, you see that they hold hands to lead to amputation. So that too is also a predisposing factor to diabetes. Can you please tell us also how we can actually live like careful not to, like now we are talking to people already living with diabetes. How can they manage diabetes?
okay, if you are diabetic, it's not a death sentence. So there are many ways in which you can take care of yourself and you live your full days. Yes. So with diabetes, I always want to give this story I had from somewhere. Diabetes is like a man having a lion. You know, it's a wild animal. So it is actually supposed to be in the bush or in the forest. So, but you having it, it's an abnormal something. But so far, the lion is caged, is tamed, is taken care of. You visit it once in a while, feed it properly, give it what it wants, and you go. It does not like it's an abnormal thing, but you can live with the lion for as long as you want to. But the moment you carelessly live your life and open the cage, and then the lion is left auction, it is out for a lot of things that you can not imagine. That is how diabetes is. So, like the owner of this lion, you now have the disorder, but you can take care of yourself. And then the good news is that it can be reversed. So if you check your blood sugar level often and you find out that it's gradually decreasing, then you are on the pathway to reversing it. So you maintain your healthy diet. If you are not before, or it was maybe the cause of the diabetes, then retrieve your step back and maintain a healthy diet. Observe the healthy plate approach. And also you have to, at this point you are already diabetic, then you have to go more extra in doing things that will help in the management of the condition. Another thing is that for the exercise, you don't overwork your body, because once there's diabetes, sometimes people tend to overwork and then it becomes another problem. Yes, because the body will want to burn up the extra, yes, and then you see that it will lead to either thinning of the body or overweight. So that one is another complication of diabetes. So you can manage yourself. And please, if you were placed on prescriptions or medications, please stick to them. It's not the one that after you've been checked maybe for after 1 month, 2 months, and you now saw that the glucose level is now reducing, or is now you now go back to your lifestyle, forget about the drug, and then no, stick to your medications when you are on prescription. And probably, I don't know, for clarity, I will want to talk about few things or few complications. And that is the reason why when you told me about when I saw women and diabetes, I say, wow, that's a good thing to talk about, because most times all the symptoms, all the complications that happen to men in diabetes happen to women. But there are peculiar complications that happen to women that men doesn't experience. That means the women should take more, like should be more precautional or preventive in their approach, because like urethral tract infection now,
Yeah, I know men also face it, but most times women with diabetes present with that. We work in the hospital and we know a lot of women that are diabetic. This is one of the complication they come with, because with accumulation of this sugar in the blood, as the body is passing it out in the urine also, the sugar is there. So any slight thing, it's a breeding ground for microbes, it's a breeding ground for bacteria, and then it can tend to, probably you kept the urine for more than necessary, it goes back to the kidney and it becomes a harmful thing in the kidney. That is why kidney damage is high on women that have diabetes than men. Yes, because the urine tends to flow back and then it affects the male urethra is longer, so the urine can actually come out and stay for longer in the urethra. But for the women, there's no passage, it goes back. Yes, so it causes UTI, that's urethral tract infection. Then we also have yeast infection because of weak immune system. Then now the immunity now to help track or to help cure the yeast is not there. So most times, if there is any little yeast infection, it escalates and then it brings about a lot of complications and cases in women. They also have hormonal imbalance. Yes, it leads to a lot of hormonal imbalance. A lot of young women or women with that are diabetic then don't tend to observe the normal cycle. Yeah, because already the hormones are distorted. So these are some of the things that we should watch out and know as women. Don't think since they say diabetic, then someone can live with it. For women, it has extra complications or a lot more of complications.
It also affects the reproductive system.
Yes, a lot. In fact, it also makes the woman have low sex drive.
Yes,
it is both sides, but it's much more on the woman. Yes,
because the vagina tends to become very dry.
Very dry, yes. So it affects that a lot, and then even in the reproductive, it does not give room for fertilization. So the place cannot be, the uterus cannot be, what do we call it now? Conducive. Yes, for fertilization, for the embryo to fertilize or implant well. So you see that a lot of miscarriages happen with women that have diabetes. So a lot about diabetes and women.
Yeah, and since we are talking about women, so I also want to point out the fact that women living with PCOS also are predisposed to diabetics, because one of the signs and symptoms of PCOS is that they tend to gain a lot of weight. And because they are hormonal, they have a lot of hormonal imbalances, plus the overweight, it tends to make them more predisposed to diabetics. So as women, please, we have extra work to do. These things are not as hard, right? Just make sure that you take out your time to watch out for your lifestyle choices. Eat a healthy diet, exercise, and visit your hospital regularly. So Ma, we have a question from one of our audience. She said, does gestational diabetes affect her baby?
Yes, gestational diabetes affects the baby, because most times, as a result of so much glucose in the blood, it tends to, it makes the patient or the client also gain weight. So the baby or the fetus that is in the womb also gains a lot of weight, and most times they cannot deliver or put to bed by themselves. So it will lead to cesarean section, and even after that, it affects the baby. You see that a lot of things that happen is that they will normally give it to a very large baby, and then it was 2 years and few weeks later the baby now emaciates. So we tend to ask, what's the problem? They tend to ask, what's the problem? So it is because at that point the baby gets a lot of glucose, then suddenly it's cut off. It's no longer there. So it tends to make the baby's body, like the hormones will also be fluctuating, try to catch up what is the actual thing that is supposed to be, and that baby is also predisposed to having diabetes. So I think it affects the baby as well.
That's why some babies too tend to come up with juvenile diabetes. So that's why it's very important. When you mentioned cesarean section, it just reminded me how while I was working in the maternity clinic, and then a lot of women, once they just tell them that they will have to have cesarean section, they will start praying against it and thinking that it is their village people. Sometimes, like we have heard today, we are the ones who are bringing these things on ourselves. So if at all you now begin to because you are pregnant, you are eating for 2, and then you make your baby very big, the pelvis, that's your pelvis, becomes very small to accommodate the baby or to allow its passage, and then you will now have to have cesarean section. Even though that's a topic for another day, but please, when you are in the hospital and the doctor says you need to have a cesarean section, ask him why, and if the reason is this, please don't think it is your village people that brought it for you.
Please, with that, I would like to back up a story, because most times we feel people in the spiritual space tend to, let me use the word in quote please with a disclaimer, hype. That this will not happen to you, this will not happen to you, this will not happen to you in Jesus' name. Yeah, it's true, and I love your beliefs. I also believe with you, but please, this thing happens that a woman was in labor, and the thing was just the labor was not progressing well. So I think after hours, the centimeter becomes the same. There was no dilation. So the doctor said she's going to go through cesarean section, and she said, let me call my pastor. And the pastor came and told her that the cesarean section will not hold, that she's going to put to bed by herself, no matter how long. So the pastor now prayed for her and left. So the husband was ready. In fact, based on the story, he was about to pay the money. The woman said no, because this is what her pastor declared, and it will happen no matter how long. So the woman was there until, and then she eventually lost the baby. And when the baby died, they still had cesarean section.
Wow.
So after a while, she was discharged and she came back home. And the pastor's wife came to greet her. So when the pastor's wife greeted her and said, this is what happened, this was what happened, the pastor's wife now told her that 3 of my children are all through cesarean section.
Okay.
So now she has lost her baby, had a cesarean scar.
Yeah.
Without the baby.
Which even makes it longer for her to
heal and take in.
Again.
And then the pastor's wife, now the pastor that declared, his own wife gave birth
3 of them
through cesarean section. So please, women out there are things that we believe and we trust God for. But when your doctor says this is it, with faith, even the surgery is with faith, because some people go into the surgery
and not everybody come out.
So we thank God for the gift of doctors and also the gift of the wisdom to do that.
I actually want to tell you this story. How she's even lucky that she ended up not dying. At least she has a baby. This one was not a story told. I was in the labor room that day. This woman was quite an elderly primate. She had reached like 35 to 36 years before taking in the first child. Imagine. She married late. Now, when she was going for her antenatal, she was actually faithful with the antenatal. And from the 6th month, the doctors told her that she would need to have a cesarean section. That she would need to have a cesarean section due to some complications from the 6th month. But this woman refused that she was not going to have that. When it was time for her to put to bed, they told her, let's go in for cesarean section so that it will save you and your baby. But the woman refused, and they kept praying. All the prayer people were outside and they were praying. Eventually, they gave birth to the child, right? And the child was asphyxiated. So we lost the baby. And after a while, the woman started bleeding. And because of the complications that came up with the whole bleeding stuff, we lost the mother too. So both made the baby and the mother were all lost in what could have been an avoidable death. And do you know what? The man is happily married today with another child. So when I tell women that they should take care of their health, please take care of your health. If anything happens to you today, these men are not looking back. They'll go marry again. Please take care of your health. All right, ma, we have another question here. She says, please, what are the nutritional and lifestyle recommendations after delivery for women who had gestational diabetes?
Okay. The recommendation and the healthy diets are not far from the ones we've mentioned earlier. Yeah, yes, the same diets: protein, vegetable, and then a little bit of the carbohydrate. The carbohydrate should not be much. Don't go and pile up fufu or eba or semo, and then with little soup, because they say we should eat vegetable, then the vegetable is in a small bowl. No, the vegetable should be higher than any other food you are taking. It should be 50% of the meal. The protein should be there because you need it for fast healing, and then the carbohydrate too should be there in moderate quantity. And then sometimes you will feel okay, you are not satisfied, because if you are used to eating a lot of food, when you eat this for the first time, you will not be okay. So you can share or apportion your food. Instead of 3 square meal, you can make it 6, but in a moderate size or moderate quantity. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Nurse Lura Akila. Thank you so much for doing justice to diabetes as it relates to now both women, children, and even our men. Thank you so much for joining us on Health Chat with Nurse V today. We are grateful. Thank you so much. I believe that when we call on you next time, you will love to come up. All right, we'll be wrapping up here. Thank you so much to everyone who joined the live session. I believe that you have learned a thing or two about diabetes. So since you've learned a lot from us, please, we are not asking for too much. Like this video, comment, and then also share, so that we can reach a larger audience, so that we can let more women, more people know the dangers of diabetes and how that it can be prevented if we take care of ourselves early. So Ma, please, will you also tell them to like, share, and comment?
Please like, share, follow.
Yes, it's very important.
Because if you want to see more of the videos, you have to follow. So like, share, follow, and comment. Send in your questions. We are always there to answer you.
Yes, with that being said, I also want to say that Nurse Lura Akila also has her own page called Nurse Lulu, where she also shares a lot of healthy tips and a lot of healthcare education for our consumption. Please do well to follow her page. I think on Facebook, on TikTok, and on Instagram. Please do well to follow and to like this video. All right, thank you so much to everyone. Don't forget that Health Chat with Nurse V is here to bring us everything we need to know concerning women's health. And today we discussed in detail about diabetics. And next time, you can also suggest what topic you would like us to talk about. Thank you all so much for listening, and see you on the next episode of Health Chat with Nurse V. Bye.
Bye.